During their Central Committee meeting this past weekend, the South African Communist Party came out to discuss its alliance partner, the ANC's disastrous local government elections results in the major metros. And the party has also warned against the call for an early elective conference of the ANC, citing that it could entrench disunity within the tripartite alliance. And the result is that the winners will inherit a shell organization. I'm joined by the SACP spokesperson and head of communications, Alex Mashilo, to talk about the discussions within the Central Committee as well as some of the resolutions. Dr. Mashilo, pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Well, the SACP held its conference, but you are going against the grain of thinking that has been imagined this past week with the Youth League and the Women's League of the ANC suggesting that there should be an early elective conference. It makes the tripartite alliance sound like it's speaking all over the place, that you've been shell-shocked as an alliance, that you don't know how to recover from the formation of new governments in the metros. What's going on?
Firstly, let's say it is important that we bring to the attention of the public that all of our organizations are governed by their constitutions. And in order for one to understand where the ANC Youth League national leadership comes from, it is important for one to visit the constitution of the ANC Youth League. That decision was announced by the National Working Committee of the ANC Youth League. In terms of the constitution of the ANC Youth League, the purpose of the National Working Committee is to implement the decisions and instructions of the National Executive Committee of the ANC Youth League and not to make its decisions. When you deal with this issue from an organizational point of view, in terms of which the constitutions of the organizations that are speaking must be respected, we must start there. Why is this not a call of the National Executive Committee of the ANC Youth League, but its National Working Committee, which does not have powers to make that call to start with? Because in terms of the constitution of the ANC Youth League, the National Executive Committee is there to implement the decisions of its National Executive Committee.
Okay, I understand. So procedurally, you're saying it's not a valid kind of call they're making because
procedurally it is flawed.
Yeah.
And this is one of the major drivers of the collapse of the organizational machinery in the African National Congress. The recent elections have showed that there are individuals who substituted decisions made by ANC structures, imposing their own view, whereas when you look in the constitutions of the ANC and its guidelines on the selection of councillors, those individuals do not feature anywhere. Now, when you substitute a councillor candidate who has been duly nominated by an ANC branch and supported by the community, and then you bring your own councillor candidate to replace the one who emerges from due processes, you are asking the community not to support you.
Okay.
So throughout the country, there are many ANC supporters who did not go and vote. It is estimated that the minimum is only 3 million. In fact, what happened, if you look at Gauteng province, the ANC has won all wards in its historical support basis. It has never lost any single ward in terms of ward councillors. But it has won those wards with a low voter turnout, meaning that many people stayed at home. And by the way, that is not a Gauteng unique situation as the ANC Youth League would like society to believe. But it is a countrywide situation.
I want to ask particularly regarding the Communist Party and the ANC in the contestation of the positions at councillor level, the candidates. In KwaZulu-Natal, actually, some of your members got killed as a result of some of the... What do you think as the Central Committee of the Communist Party was going on there?
In fact, on Sunday when we were holding the press conference to announce the outcome of the Central Committee, one of our members who was killed was being buried on Sunday. And may her soul rest in peace. She was a fighter. She fought for ANC internal processes to be respected. And when these were not respected, there was an outbreak of violence to the extent that she was killed for fighting for the enforcement of the guidelines of the African National Congress. In that situation, the community, in fact, decided to put forward their own independent candidate who won the election over that of the ANC. Under normal circumstances, nobody must win, having coming from the African National Congress.
Now, the Communist Party talks a lot about factionalism within the ANC and the alliance. You're very concerned about that, but it continues anyway. So one wonders, from your own assessment, how many factions do you have within the ANC, you think?
The problem of factionalism in the African National Congress has reached a point where it is systemic. And it is very difficult for one to stand up and say there are so many factions that exist. But what we can point to are its material basis. The main material basis for the problem of factionalism in the ANC is the economy. There are too many people who are unemployed, too few people among those who are employed and better wages. And poverty is widespread, as we all know. Positions come with certain income, and to many individuals, it is now a form of an interview to fight for these positions, because somewhere, somehow, this can move one out of poverty. But at the higher echelon, that is at the lower echelon, at the higher echelon of factionalism is corruption and corporate capture. People who fight for position in order to divert businesses to their business connections outside there. Outside there, business people are looking for political connections, and inside here, political people are looking for business connection. And the nexus between political connections and business connections is wreaking havoc in the African National Congress. How the state is organized, in particular the SACP has been saying the problem of tenders, it's a very serious problem. Unless we restructure that, the likelihood of the problem continuing is very, very, very high.
But here's something that I think in the eyes of many people will be regarded as unbecoming. And the discussion of state capture, right, corporate capture, especially from the SACP point of view, has been on the agenda for some time. We started late last year about this. But it's not ending, it appears, right? We had this incident of the Finance Minister Nhlanhla Nene being dismissed, and then Mr. Des van Rijn being installed as new minister, lasted a couple of days. Then Pravin Gordhan was reinstated. It's interesting, as we speak this week, that Pravin Gordhan, the Hawks seem to be gunning for him on the other hand, and Des van Rooyen himself, member of cabinet, is saying that Pravin must go to the Hawks. The General Secretary of the Communist Party holds a different view. So even cabinet itself looks like is in disarray. What do you make of this?
I must firstly point out that the views expressed by our General Secretary are not his personal views. They are the views of the SACP. He is our chief spokesperson. But we must say to our colleagues, some of our colleagues in the African National Congress, that we are humbly asking you not to be hypocrite. It cannot be that when it is one person, this person must go and appear. And when it is another person, we all must rally behind that particular individual and be very quick to even accept apologies.
You're talking about who here?
No, I'm just talking about a general situation.
Yes.
When you apply a principle, you must be fair, you must be consistent. It cannot be that when it is one member of the ANC, this member is quickly suspended. But when it is another member, there is nothing being said about that member. All of us must be mobilized to rally behind that individual. In this case of Pravin Gordhan, it seems as if we are back about 11 years ago. In 2005, President Jacob Zuma was relieved of his duties as the Deputy President of the Republic. When he was relieved by the former president, that former president stated that the president will have his day in court. For the most part of the period that unfolded, all of us closed ranks behind President Jacob Zuma because we believed that was a political agenda. This same thing is what is happening to Pravin Gordhan today.
Now, it carries with it massive risks from, what commentators, analysts, market analysts, and even the markets themselves and investors, that, the way it's been managed has been badly managed and it puts the country at great risk. And there are all sorts of allegations that Pravin seems to be going after the Gupta family, who over the weekend announced that they will be disinvesting from South Africa and that they are quitting this economy because they are not allowed to operate freely. What is your view, about these things? What exactly is going on here? And of course, the risk that the country is exposed to.
Firstly, let us separate between what the so-called market and the people are saying. Because we cannot be governed by market dictatorship while we are a democracy. Market dictatorship functions this way. There are very few individuals who have massive value in rand value terms. They are able to buy and sell the rand, manipulate supply and demand as they wish in the exchange rate market, all right? So that when they have manipulated the exchange rate of the exchange value of the rand, all of us must be rallied behind their decision, while we don't have money to do as they are doing. That must be set aside. That's not where we are going as the SACP. What is very important is that as a democracy, as the electorate, we must be able to express our views without fear or favor. That is what we are doing. That is very important. And when we talk about the economy, we cannot be guided by a single incident of a movement of exchange value of the rand, while we have spent years and years with inequality, poverty, and unemployment on the ground. It cannot be that when it suits the market, we must all dance to the tune of those who are controlling the market. The market must move the money out of the hot markets, casino economy, invest in productive capacity so that we can produce and so that people can find jobs and we can eliminate inequality.
Here's my question. My final question to you then. The Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, Jesse Duarte, says, Pravin Gordhan must not place himself above the law. He must present himself to the Hawks, and she's concerned and wondering why he has now mobilized, in her words, the media and the public in terms of the investigation against him. What is your view of that?
The Deputy Secretary General of the ANC will do very well to say those words to everyone in the ANC who finds themselves in the similar situation that Gordhan finds himself, not to selected individuals. It can't be that when it is a certain individual or some individuals, all of us are rallied behind those individuals. And when it is another, somebody is quick to say, go there. Even when, in fact, let us be honest and fair and very clear. The conduct of the Hawks is out of order. It has ruined down the integrity of that institution. Just before the elections, the Hawks announced that they were not investigating the Minister of Finance. Full stop. We were up as the SACP saying what they were doing was wrong. We participated with them in some of the media shows, and the matter was closed with them, assuring the public that they were not investigating the minister. The Deputy Secretary General of the ANC must be worried when an institution that was created to enforce the law says one thing one moment, and just immediately after elections, it contradicts itself. Now all of a sudden it is investigating the person. And to the Guptas, we are saying, please disclose all your dealings at Eskom. To Eskom CEO, please come out. Disclose the entire information on the dealings you have made with together, and any other Gupta-linked families. Be transparent, we want to trust you. For so long as you are not transparent, it will be very difficult for us to trust you. We want to understand the pricing of coal that was given to the Guptas and how this coal was priced before then. We want to understand the gear levers under which the Guptas benefited business from Eskom. And to all other state-owned enterprises, we are making the same call as well. This is not a banana republic. Our people are languishing in poverty. It cannot be that a single family is accumulating millions after millions from state-owned enterprises and our people are suffering in poverty and unemployment. This is South Africa. We must work according to the Freedom Charter. If there is wealth in this country, it must be shared among the people, and all of us must work. Business can only go to the Guptas. That is wrong in the extreme.
Alex Mashilo, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
And of course, this is an ongoing story and the discussions won't end here. We'll be getting the views of other people as well. But we do get the view of the South African Communist Party. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
He speaks on behalf of the SACP, Mr. Alex Mashilo, very forceful, strongly speaking out against the Guptas as well as against the criticism of Pravin Gordhan.